Hello, friends. This is Uncle E back with the second cure for a lean purse. We're going through the 7 cures for a lean purse here in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a book that I highly recommend that you acquire. Again, it helped me to go from zero to hero in my finances. And so I'm recommending to you guys, if you find yourself with your bank account on E, you find yourself heavily in debt, you need a plan. And this book is going to give you the plan of action necessary for you to go, like I did, from being in debt to being out of debt. So let's get started. Now, we left off from the first cure, which was to start fattening your purse. And there was the richest man in Babylon, Mr. Arcad, who had been summoned by the king to go and talk to 100 choice men of that kingdom so that he could teach them the principles of wealth. And so last we left off, Arcad left the motto, he left the moniker of the first chapter with them in saying this: for each 10 coins that I put in, to spend but 9. The whole baseline was to, in order to start fattening your purse, to live off 90% of your income and to put away 10%. And over time, that 10% will become overflowing. So we're moving to the second cure. The second cure for a lean purse. It is to control your expenditures or control your expenses. Now, some of the members, Arcad students, had asked him, how can a man keep 1/10 or 10% of all he earns in his purse when all the coins that he earns are not enough for his necessary expenses? Now, that's an interesting question. I find that in a lot of the people that I coach and I help, they ask that same question. Well, how can I live off of this plan? You know, my expenses seem to be so much more than I'm able to get down to even live off of 90%. So Arcad asked them, he said, yesterday, how many of you carry lean purses? Now, again, he's talking to 100 choice men. So he's asking the whole room, how many carry lean purses? And they answered, all of us. So he said, yet do you not all earn the same? Some earn much more than others. Some have larger families to support, yet all purses will equally lean. Now, this is interesting because for some of us, we find that no matter how much we make, we're always broke. Isn't that crazy? We just get a raise, but we still broke. We get another raise, we still broke. We get a bonus, we still broke. So everyone makes a different amount of money, but sometimes we all find ourselves in the same situation, having a bank account on E. So it said, now I will tell you an unusual truth about men and the sons of men. It is this, that what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest the contrary. Confuse not your necessary expenses with your desires. Each of you together will, with your good families, have more desires than your earnings can gratify. Therefore are your earnings spent to gratify these desires insofar as they will go. Still you retain as many ungratified desires. Basically what he's saying here is that if you think about everything that you want to spend your money on, you realize that your eyes are bigger than your wallet. And what will happen is we'll spend and spend and spend until our wallet is all gone, but yet our eyes are still not fulfilled. So it really doesn't matter how many desires that you do satisfy, you're going to still have things that go unsatisfied because you just don't have enough money to satisfy those desires. That makes sense? I hope it does, because it just kind of rolled off the tongue. So anyway, all men are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. Because of my wealth, and Arcad is talking to the wealthiest man in Babylon, he's saying, because I'm wealthy, you guys think that I can gratify every desire that I have. He said, this is a false idea. He said, there are limits to my time. There are limits to my strength. There are limits to the distance I may travel. There are limits to what I may eat, and there are limits to the zest with which I may enjoy. I say to you that just as weeds grow in the field wherever the farmer leaves space for their roots, even so freely do desires grow in men whenever there's a possibility of their being gratified. So whenever we get something that comes across our eyes or something in our heart or some smell, we want to gratify that desire. Imagine going somewhere and you smell something good. You're like, man, I want to eat that. You want to get it. We have to control our expenses, control our appetites, control the things that we spend our money on. So your desires are a multitude, but those that you may gratify are but few. You're going to always have desires. You may not ever be able to satisfy all the desires that you have as far as the natural, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, things that you want to eat, things you want to see, things you want to buy, things you want to own. You're going to always have them. No matter how many that you gratify, you're going to always have some that go ungratified. Study thoughtfully the accustomed habits of living. Herein may be the most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated. Let your motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded upon each coin spent. Let your motto be, you're going to get maximum value for every coin, every penny, every dime, every dollar that you spend. Let that be your motto. Therefore, write down each thing for which you desire to spend. Write it down. Select those that are necessary and others that are possible through the expenditure of only 90% of your income. And here's where people miss out. They don't write down what they want to spend their money on. And then when they write down, you have your needs and your wants, kind of that thing. Sometimes we put the wants in the needs section, and then we put the needs in the wants section, and we end up getting all our wants, but then missing out on some of the needs that we got to spend our money on. So write it down first, then go through it. Make sure you pay your needs, and then out of all of the rest of the stuff, if it don't fit in your 90%, if it don't fit, you must have quit. That's what we're gonna say. Cross out the rest and consider them but a part of that great multitude of desires that must go unsatisfied and regret them not. Now, budget. That B word, nobody like that. Budget your necessary expenses. Touch not the 1/10 that is fat in your purse. Remember, we're still putting in 10%. We're still fattening our purse, fattening our wallet, fattening our bank account, and the rest we're living off of. We're paying our necessities first. Let this be your great desire. Let this be the great desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working with your budget. Keep adjusting it to help you. You make your budget so you can change it. Make it your first assistant in defending the fattening of your purse. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A student stood up and said, I am a free man. I believe that it is my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore, do I rebel against the slavery of a budget, which determines just how much I may spend and for what. I feel it would take much pleasure from my life and make me a little more than a donkey carrying a burden. So he's saying, this student stands up and is like, man, I don't want a budget. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy life. It's my right to have a good life. Like, a budget is going to limit me in what I can do. And I think that's how a lot of people feel about a budget. They feel it's limiting. It's putting boundaries around, what we spend our money on. And so Arcad replied, he said, who, my friend, would determine your budget? That's my question for you. Who's going to determine your budget? Who determines your budget? And just like he is going to answer, you probably are saying the same thing, I'd make it for myself. So Arcad responded that in that case, were a donkey to budget his burden, would he include therein jewels and rugs and heavy bars of gold? Not so. He would include hay and grain and a bag of water for the desert trail. So don't make your burdens heavy. That's basically what this is saying. You're making your budget, still don't make your budget heavy. Make it light. The purpose of a budget is to help you help your purse to fatten. It is to assist you to have the necessities and insofar as attainable, also your desires. It is to enable you to realize your most cherished desires by defending them from your casual wishes. Like a bright light in a dark cave, your budget shows up the leaks from your purse and enables you to stop them and control the expenditures for definite and gratifying purposes. This then is the second cure for a lean purse. It's what it all boils down to. Budget your expenses. That you may have coins to pay for your necessities, to pay for the enjoyments, and to gratify your worthwhile desires without spending more than 90% of your earnings. Again, budget your expenses so that you may have the coins to pay for your necessities, to pay for your enjoyments, and to gratify your worthwhile desires, all while not spending more than 90% of your earnings. Well, that's going to be our time here today, guys. The second cure, control your expenses. Like this message, share this message. You get to the end of write in the comments, hashtag Babylon, and also share your thoughts. Well, how these first two cures start to fatten your purse, living on 90%. Cure number 2. What is cure number 2 again? I'm doing so much talking. Cure number 2, control your expenses. How those two things are helping you. And as you implement them, you'll see that you'll be able to go from zero to hero as well. So thank you so much for your time. This is Uncle E. Until we speak again, guys, control your expenses.